How you doing, everybody? Well, wait, no, let me try this again. What's good, neighborhood? Welcome back to another Warframe Wednesday. It's great to see you guys here, and as you can see by who we have on the screen, our monster of the week, as I put it, is none other than the third of our starters, Mag. Now, Mag is probably well, actually, let's take a look at the star chart just to be on the safe side because I want to make sure I get this right. Yeah, I was right. Okay, so, well, first off, I'm sorry I didn't do this earlier, but I needed to make sure that the captions are on for certain members of our audience who might have a little bit of trouble following along. But anyway, let's get right down to it. Mag, as you can probably guess by her design, well, wait, no. Let me get the proper. Let me get the proper appearance for her setup. This color is what I was looking for. There we go. Looking much better already. Hey, what's up, Andre? Good to see you. Wait, no, not appearance. There we go. I want to make sure I do this right, so no mods. Okay, now we can finally get started. So, Mag, out of the three starters, Mag is probably going to be the easiest for you to pick up because in order to get her, you're going to be making your way through the star chart. And once you get to this area, Phobos, you will actually find her blueprints, her component blueprints, right here on this node. That's Iliad. In other words, Mag is Mag is the second of the three starters that you can actually get from boss fights as you progress through the game. Which, as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't really get more. It doesn't really get more basic than that. However, I'm pretty sure that it's not just how to get her that's going to be important for folks watching, but what she can do once you do manage to put her together. Ooh, excuse me. Ah, good morning. Good morning, Riona. Good to see you. Actually, what am I doing? I could just fast travel. Never mind. So let's go ahead and jump into the simulacrum, and we can get started with showing off Mag's abilities. Now, just to make sure you know, there is a particular reason why I have these weapons equipped to her. But you'll see in a second. But first things first, just as with all the other frames, Mag's passive ability is Mag's passive ability is actually pretty unique, and it kind of gives you a hint as what her abilities are. Because with her passive, when you do any of these, when you do a bullet jump, which is sliding and then jumping when you do to get that nice little sort of spiral as they twist through the air. When you bullet jump with Mag, any items that are in the area are actually pulled to her. So when you're trying to pick up certain resources or maybe even trying to get mods or blueprints that might be dropped from enemies, it's definitely going to help pick things up. Or even if there's, say, ammunition that you might not be able to use but your teammates can, then you can basically bullet jump and pull it to them. And now that we've got some enemies pulled up, let's go ahead and get started with her abilities. Now, the first one that you start with right out of the gate is pull. I think that right there is a pretty good indicator of what Mag's theme is. Polarity, magnetism, anything anything regarding magnetism, she's going to be your go-to if that's the kind of power that you're used to. Now, as you can see, pull is really good for crowd control, either making sure that enemies are grouped up properly, or if nothing else, just getting everyone grouped together. So yeah, crowd control and item gathering is where it's at. Or if you want to get really fancy, you can pretty much pull the sort of stunts where, no matter where you are, no matter where you're aimed at, all you gotta do is just use pull. And the thing is, pull can still do damage. The damage is minimal, but again, pull is much more of a crowd control ability than anything else. Oop. Let me get back up here to collect some more energy. So yeah, pretty basic. Nothing too special, but she's definitely one of those where you kind of have to play a little bit of mental chess in order to, get really tricky and start, doing some good early game strategizing with her ability. Once you get her to rank 3, the second ability that you're going to pick up is Magnetize. And this is where it gets fun. Because not only can she, just as you said, set things up for AoE characters on your team, but she can set things up to do some really interesting things herself. Because While Magnetize, or what they call her Trouble Bubble, while Magnetize is nothing special on its own, what it does is that anything you cast the bubble on, you fire into that bubble and the rounds are automatically pulled to anything caught in it. Let's go ahead and get her all filled up on ammo and energy again. And once again, we can go ahead and say, you know, just use her first two abilities and really get an interesting setup. Pull the enemies pull the enemies to you, group them up, cast Magnetize, which further groups the enemies together, and then fire away. Well, so long as you have the ammo for it. Alright, we're restocked, refilled on energy. Oh, I did not mean to completely clear everyone out. There we go. Boom. And yeah, Trouble Bubble does work for the whole team. So any round fired by yourself or any allied Warframe into that bubble, and whatever's caught in it just gets shredded. Oh, and remember what I was mentioning about her passive? There you go. So that's energy, health, everything. All of it pulled together. And of course, another interesting thing, just as a general mechanic, any character you bullet jump with, you can actually cause a knockdown when you actually collide with enemies. So that can help as far as crowd control too. Now, once you hit rank 7, that's where we pick up her third ability, Polarize. Now, Polarize is something special because you see these little green shards that are on the ground? That right there is actually meant to work alongside Magnetize. Oh, yeah, that's right. Sliding in the air does count as a kick. But yeah, you'll notice now that although very minor, when you actually cast Polarize first, then Magnetize, then it actually starts doing, little bits of tick damage. But it's all really just basically meant to again work with the bubble. Last but not least, once you hit rank 10, Crush. So it's your basic nuking ability. You know, gather enemies together, as they as they mention it in the game, magnetize them to the point that they magnetize your enemies to the point where they basically collapse in on themselves. Sounds pretty brutal, I know. Now, I want to make it perfectly clear for you guys. I'm by no means an expert. I'm just a guy who I'm just a guy who got in and started playing the game. I mean, sure, I've been at it for almost 450 consecutive days, so a little over a year. But there's still a lot that I don't know, and everything I'm telling you here is just what I think would be a good place to start. But anyway, really quickly before we actually get onto our practice run, I want to show off really quickly theme the kind of theme weapons and thematic build that I put together for Mag. This is again just going just going with weapons, no mod cards to speak of, just what I think would make good gear for her, just to really capitalize on her abilities. And this is all stuff that can be picked up in game without too much grinding. Yeah, actually, that's exactly it. When you've got characters in something like City of Heroes or DC Universe that actually work with magnetism, it's the same sort of crowd control style. But anyway, while these are just a couple of weapons that I picked up that I think work really well with her, like I would highly suggest just anything that is rapid fire. And also, the stat that I have my cursor hovering over right now, punch through, weapons with punch through are a really good bet to have with mag, because when you've got people clumped together in the bubble and then you start firing, anything that's got punch through means you'll be tagging multiple targets. Now, weapons like the comb, for example, solid rapid firing shotgun, or a rapid fire pistol like the Sestra, those are again going to be your best bet. Something that fires fast, and even if it doesn't hit hard on the first shot, because everything is still landing thanks to the bubble, then it's just going to keep piling the damage on. And now for her deadly fidget spinner. Now, the main reason I picked up this one is largely because it does innate electric damage, which can easily be turned into magnetic damage with, I believe it's I believe if you mod for cold damage to add onto it. But aside from that, it just looks really cool and really high tech. So it goes with the theme that I was going for. Ooh, excuse me. Yep, electric plus cold. So let's go ahead and jump into. Well, I always like to do this one. I always like to do this little survival mission right here. because it leaves you with because it basically starts you with not just a time limit, but it's also just a good sort of practice range because the enemies are going to be coming at you pretty fast and fierce. Oh my god! Now I can't unsee it. Now I can't unsee it. She really does look like Psycho Mantis. This is too much. Oh, move, heathen. Come along, little children. All right, all in together now. Now, outside of your guns in the early game, pull is probably going to be your best damage dealer. But I think the best thing about Mag is that in and of herself, she is something of a tutorial Warframe because she shows players, especially new players, all about the importance of finding synergy between your abilities. Oh, I forgot to mention that after a certain time, after a certain amount of time, or basically once the bubble hits its time limit, then it collapses and explodes. So that's even more extra damage for you. Let's see. It should be enough for me to just do maybe like 5 or 10 minutes worth of this just to really show off what she can do, especially against enemies that are at higher levels. But I think at this point you pretty much got the gist of what she can do though, right? It all really comes down to just being able to level the playing field because when you're playing with a character like Mag, up to a certain point, numbers really won't make a difference if you can just, again, pull any enemies in the area towards you and get them in just the right position to start making use of all of her other skills. Mo, what's up, man? Glad to see you in, and appreciate the resub as well. Oh, and yeah, movement is like I think movement is really one of the hallmarks of Warframe as a game in and of itself. Because not only do you have, not only do you have basic running, sprinting, there's also the various jumps. You can do double jumps, there's the bullet jump. Like if you slide and then double jump, then you've got even further distance on it. And what's more is that if you hold aim while you're heading towards a wall and you jump, then you get that little wall cling. But what's even better is that if you hit the jump button while you're moving along a wall, then you've got wall running. It's it's like this whole intricate little parkour system. Oh, oh, that's something I didn't notice. Apparently Twitch is opening up holiday emotes now. And well, because of your resub mo, we've apparently got that new emote now. So there you go. Fun times all around. Oh, I should probably hit that life support capsule. There we go. Ow! That thing just socked the that thing just socked the shit out of me. Oh really? Okay, let me pop over to that next life support capsule real quick. Here we go. Hey, what's good, Blue? How you been? Okay, there's that one. And then we'll have one more that can put us back up to 100%. Or close to it. So yeah, I'll stick in this one. I'll stick to this mission for 10 minutes before heading out. That should get us up high enough level to where, oh, yeah, high enough level to where most things won't just keel over after the first pull. there we go. All those items, all that ammo, mine. Woo! That was actually starting to get kind of hairy for a second. All right, another 45 seconds and we should be good to go. Nope. Okay, I think it's about time. Now, for any annoying flying enemies you might encounter, that's another good reason to use pull. Get them on the ground, get them within range of your fire. Uh, Oh boy. Well, I think it's time for me to go. And with that other resubscription, much appreciated, Brian. With that other resubscription, that also completes this mission. So, going back over the going back over the last 3 weeks, we're going to summarize. Half a shrug. Oh god. Yes. That's right. You've got your tickets to Tony's. That is half a freaking shrug. Jesus. But anyway, let's go ahead and summarize what we've done for these last 3 weeks. When you start Warframe, after the opening cutscene, or like after the opening cutscene, you get your pick from one of the three starters: Excalibur, Volt, and Mag. Excalibur is basically He's your all rounder. He's focused on more offense, and there are very obvious choices as far as what weapons you can get for him and what weapons you want to use for him at the start of the game. Volt is your secondary, who's like a mid level support, mid level offensive frame. And Volt is basically your introduction to elemental damage and how certain things like electricity can actually be. How electricity in this game can be handled to, spread damage, but to also more greatly affect certain types of enemies that you'll be running across. Mag is your support frame. Like you mentioned it earlier, Riona, support with a few rules, but basically, she's your support, she's your crowd control, and she's your tutorial when it comes to ability synergy. Mastering the game's offense, getting proficient with working with elements and exploiting elemental weaknesses, and figuring out synergy between your abilities and synergy with your teammates' abilities. Those are pretty much the three those are pretty much the three core concepts that you want to get down, or that you at least want to have in mind as you're starting Warframe. But the best advice I can give for any new player coming to this game, the best advice I can give is simply this: Warframe is a marathon, it's not a sprint. This is a game that puts this is a game that puts a lot in front of you, and hopefully the developers themselves will actually adjust and fine tune the new player experience coming soon. But if I can offer you any sort of help, whether it's playing through missions with you or again just words of advice that I can give through these streams and through whatever videos I put up, from one rookie to another, it's all about recognizing the grind and in a way enjoying it, because at the end of the grind there's a lot of awesome stuff that you can pick up. And building things, whether it's weapons, keys, or warframes through the foundry, is no exception. In fact, 2 hours. 2 hours? I I won't have these other warframes. I won't have Ash Prime or Vauban Prime until after I've already left for work. Oh, this sucks. Oh, I think that's the only, in my mind, that right there, Sonoris, is the only thing that keeps Warframe from being perfect. Crossplay. But now here's the thing. It's not just the grind as far as in-game time that you put in, but it's also real time, because no matter what, just about everything in this game, you can either trade for it or you can play through the game and earn it. So everything in here is essentially free. But unless you've got the premium currency, which again, even that you can trade for, you got to build stuff through the foundry, and that takes real time. Warframes take 3 days. Most weapons, most weapons take 12 hours. And again, this is all real time. If you have the premium currency, then you can rush it. But at the same time, and this is my personal standpoint here. While you are waiting for the fruits of your labor to be borne out through the foundry, you can keep playing through the game, you can keep fighting through the grind and earning even more. I am so glad that 11 doesn't make you wait. I'm so glad that Warframe doesn't make you wait weeks for stuff that you've earned and that you're putting together. Oh, nice. GOG is definitely a good spot for looking for deals. I mean, I know there were a couple of games that I picked up for free through through GOG just on their sales. But anyway, since we're here and we have a little bit of time left, I'm going to put together a mod build. I'm going to put together a really quick mod build which I think will definitely help bolster her abilities even more. And again, excuse me. And again, this is just mods that I think would actually work really well. And yeah, Sonoris is right. Like the only thing that you absolutely need real real dollars for is is Tenogen cosmetics. And again, those are skins that don't really give you any advantage except for looking really freaking cool. And just like you said, the profits from those go to the fan creators that are responsible for designing them. So pretty much every dollar that you spend in game, like if you actually have to spend real world money, not only does it go to making the game itself even better by, going to the developers, but it also goes to the fans that are helping put content into the game. But anyway, as far as as far as actually putting together a mod card setup with Mag, everything everything that you want with her is going to be based on how much energy you can build up. It's going to be based on how much energy you can build up or how long you can keep how long you can keep enemies held. So anything that increases ability duration is going to be that's going to be your bread and butter. Now, for every Warframe, I always use Vigor just because extra health and extra shields is nice. It's it's just nice. Now, Rage is one of the more rare mods you find, but definitely something that will come in handy. Let's see, streamline, so that way it'll cost even less. And I think expanding her range is going to help as well. Let's see. Flow to increase her max energy. And then what would be a good 6-pointer? There we go. Mobilize. Oh god, you had to remind me of EverQuest, didn't you? Okay, so with this build that I just put together for Mag, what like the big things that you're going to want to focus on is building for her energy pool and for her efficiency, so that way it'll cost you even less to cast her abilities. Then, of course, you're also going to want to build for, you're going to want to build to try and the ra- increase her range, so that way her trouble bubble is bigger, and build for duration so that it'll last longer. And actually, I don't even need to go to a mission to demonstrate that. I can go here. So now that we actually have something of a decent setup for what you should be building for Mag's abilities, you'll notice that we got an even wider field of effect on Crush. So once again, anything like if there were enemies on screen, anything caught in it would have been lifted up and effectively disabled. And if they weren't outright killed, they would have been set up for your teammates. And I think I may have just used up a little bit too much energy with that by mistake. Because what I wanted to do was show off how much bigger the bubble would have gotten. Oh, excuse me. Now, if nothing else, one other thing I do want to bring to your attention is the ability screen here. Everything I just went over in this stream can be found here. Details about her passive, details about each of her abilities and what kind of damage they can do, how long it lasts. Let's see. Oh, that's another thing I forgot about Polarize, which, again, it's great that we could actually go into this screen and look it up. But those little shards that actually do additional damage, what those came from was the fact that, any shields and armor, you basically strip them off of you basically strip them off of your targets, making them even squishier when you put them in the magnetized bubble, because those shards keep hitting them, you can fire into that and do even more damage. And of course, any allies that are hit by the pulse from Polarize get their shields restored. So yeah, that's even with that little bit of extra info that I missed on the tail end. That right there is your rookie's crash course to mag and to starting Warframe in general. So now that we've got the three starters out of the way, hopefully for anyone actually looking to get into the game, hopefully this will help as something of a doorway to make the early game a little bit easier for you. Next week, let me check what I got listed here. Yeah, next week we're actually going to be getting on to, well, we're going to be getting a little bit deeper into the cast as far as what Warframes are available. And we're going to be picking up with Rhino. Now, I'll just say it right now. Whichever one of your starters that you actually pick up first, doesn't matter if it's Excalibur, Mag, or Volt, I can say that Rhino is probably going to be, at the very least, the second Warframe in your arsenal. Not only can you pick him up the earliest in the game, but as you play through it and just, get used to the grind, I think you'll wind up picking up his component blueprints before you know it. But that's a conversation to be carried further next week. Until then, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me for this past hour. It's been fun. It's been a blast. And I'm looking forward to seeing you all tomorrow on the next Cup of Gaming stream. But until then, and until next week, for everyone tuning in for Warframe, stay good, neighborhood. I'll catch you on the next one.